Cream Whiskies broadcast. It is, of course, Wednesday. It's 7 o'clock here, 7 p.m. here in the UK, and it's the 15th of April. Hope you are all well, and hope you've had a good week and that you've all been staying safe and healthy and locked down or whatever it is you are doing wherever you are. Anyway, welcome to this broadcast. Let me tell you what we have up for you this evening. So, we have two cocktails of the week this week, plus of course our Mix With Me cocktail, which is the third time we've done that, which is when you guys pick up the ingredients that I let you know about earlier on and you join me later in the broadcast so we all mix a cocktail together. We have the third running of our Whiskey Geek of the Week quiz. The first week was Paul Musson. He became our Whiskey Geek of the Week. Last week was Simon. He became our Whiskey Geek of the Week. Who's it going to be this week? We've also got some pretty good news for our VIP members, and if you are still teetering on whether to become a VIP member, then it could be good news for you as well. We've got our VIP whiskey competitions, we've got our spot prize giveaway at the end of the broadcast, and we have our winners announcements coming up shortly. Who's with us so far this evening? Hi, good to see Jane has joined us. Hi, how you doing? Thank you, Jane. Nice shirt indeed, yes. And Kieran, good to see you. Remember, everybody, if you're with us, the evening starts with a whiskey, and we're going to start with a whiskey in, I should add, this rather gorgeous new decanter. Now, when I showed this decanter to my wife, she said, "Oh, it's a genie bottle." I said, "Well, you can't call it a genie bottle because clearly it's a whiskey decanter, so it's modelled on something to do with whiskey, like a whiskey still." And so went in and asked my daughter, and she said, "Oh, it's a genie bottle." So this genie bottle actually is modelled on an old whiskey still, and I think it's a pretty cool decanter. And this comes from, guess what, our new sponsors at Urban Bar. Who else is with us? Mark Coyle, evening, enjoying a monkey shoulder tonight. So what's a monkey shoulder, Mark? Is that like a double, like a large monkey shoulder? Is that what you got on the go? Bruce, how you doing? Hello, Paul, Cheryl, Alfie, and the guy in the corner. Bruce, you remember everyone? Good to see you. Simon, how you doing? Smoky monkey shoulder. All right, got it now, Mark. Smoky monkey shoulder makes sense now. And Jane, no, Cheryl, right. It's a genie bottle. This fabulous decanter is holding, well, what whiskey? That's part of the game tonight. You've got to guess what whiskey is in here. So I'm just going to pour myself a little shot to get everything going this evening. Got two pretty cool cocktails coming up for you. Plus that third one, the Mix With Me concoction, which we're all going to do later on together. But cheers. Tell me what you've got in your glass. Tell me what you're drinking, and cheers to you. Lovely. Let me give you a clue as to what it's going on in there. Very, very slight peatiness, but you've got to be looking for it to find it. Mostly sweet, kind of sherry, and rich and deep as well. What we got here? Nikki Martin, that's my sister from California. Hi, how you doing? Good to see you. It's the first time that she's tuned in to our broadcast. So she's the other side of the world from me, but the same side of the world as some of you guys. Barry's not here again. Lupa, how you doing? Paul, how you doing as well? On the Woodford in Madeira, waiting to be opened. Well, if you open that tonight, Paul, let us know if it's on the go. Mitchell, how you doing? Barry's on coffee. Good with me. Good with me. Moscow Mule. What's this? Bruce is having a raspberry Moscow Mule. Wow. So Bruce has actually just done away completely with the idea of whiskey, unless you've got a whiskey mule going on there, and it's got a sort of, for those of you that know what raspberry Moscow Mule is, it's kind of a combination of fresh lime juice, vodka, hence the reason why it's a Moscow Mule, ginger beer, and this one probably has some raspberries or raspberry puree in there as well. Kevin, what's going on? Having a Glenmorangie 18. Now you're showing off, Kevin. That's a really tasty drink you got on the go. Gary, good evening to you. Kieran's on a Glenallachie 2004 single cask. Tell me, Kieran, you got that with water or ice, or do you just put the single casks straight down? I tend to do that. I tend to have them straight myself, but people criticise me for doing that. Jeff, hi, how you doing? Steve as well, Colchester, Essex, good to see you. And yeah, Bruce is saying it is a whiskey mule, so he's not got vodka in there, or maybe he's got vodka with a whiskey. But hey, cheers to you all. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the results of last week's competition. So let me just get rid of some of this. When I say get rid of it, it's a little bit like I'm trying to clear up the glass. But let me give you the results, because I know a lot of you tune in specifically for the results. So first announcement, actually very interesting. All our winners tonight, as you will see, have something in common. So first of all, last week's whiskey competition. Now, if you're not a VIP member, which is a great deal and is becoming an even greater deal to sign up and become a VIP member at Dream Whiskies, then you won't have been in this competition. But we are giving away cracking whiskies every single week. And the winner of last week's competition, which finished at midnight last night, just to say that this week's competition began at midnight last night, is, and I know he's already online actually, is the person who was our first Whiskey Geek of the Week, Paul Musson. Your name came out of the hat. You were drawn. You are the whiskey winner for last week. I'll be in touch with you officially about that tomorrow, but congratulations. You won your whiskey. I wonder what you're going to go for. Paul's been our Whiskey Geek of the Week, as I mentioned. The book that we had up for our spot prize giveaway at the end of last week's broadcast, and we have a new spot prize giveaway at the end of this broadcast, so hang in for there, is Gary Cummins. And Gary, actually, is a previous whiskey winner, and he's won the spot prize as well. You should be getting some kind of clue as to why it's a good idea to be a VIP member right at the moment, because we don't have a massive amount of members. We only started it up about a month and a half, 2 months ago. The membership numbers are lower than we wanted, but for you guys it's good, because it means that you've got a really great chance of winning our competitions. Gary, congratulations, you won that book. It was Whiskey Made Me Do It. 60 whiskey cocktails. They're not my recipes, somebody else's book, but hey, it's a cracking book and I think you'll enjoy that. And then, as you all know, we had a VIP membership competition on the go for the last month. In other words, we were giving you the chance to get a year's worth of VIP membership with us for free. Loads of people entered it. Some of you were already members, and the deal was, if you win, I will refund the membership you've already paid for your year. And if you win but you weren't already a member, then you get a year's free membership. Well, I can tell you that the winner was already a member, and that was Barry Bullock. And Barry, 2 weeks ago, won our spot prize as well. So all three people have something in common tonight, that they've all won previous things with us. Listen, if you don't take that as a reason to get involved, sign up, become a Dream Whiskies VIP member, which, by the way, is still on 10-day free trial, then you are seriously missing out. All of you guys, I will get in touch with you tomorrow officially, and we'll sort out your prizes. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to tell you the prize this week for our spot prize giveaway at the end of this broadcast. And the prize this week is, well, I think it's sort of cool, really. And it's this. I don't know if you can see properly. This is a t-shirt in the style of Walt Disney, but says Malt Whiskey on it, which I think is kind of cool if you're a whiskey fan. So we are giving away this t-shirt to one of you. It comes in a variety of sizes and colours. Colours include white and grey and navy blue and black. So if you win this prize, you can pick your size, you can pick the colour out of those four, and we'll get this off to you. And that comes up at the end of our broadcast today. All right, good news for everyone. Hopefully a number of you are jumping up and down feeling really prizes. What's going on here? Yes, it's a Whiskey Mule, Kentucky Mule actually. Nikki, early to start here, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Absolutely. Kieran, have it with a drop of water. Get that. That's for the single cast that I mentioned. Barry says congrats to Paul. That's to Paul Musson, but of course you later on one. Paul, thank you. Barry there, congrats going on. Cheryl, congrats Paul. Barry, Lubka, congrats. Good and congrats. Scroll down a little bit here, see what else is going on. And Nikki's finished with, ooh, I want one. Oh, as in the t-shirt. Yes, well, Nikki, along with everybody else, you can enter our spot prize giveaway at the end if you're one of our VIP members. And if you're not, you can sign up, still on a free 10-day trial, which gets you into competitions before you decide whether you want to continue your membership. But more about that later on. We are now going to start with our first cocktail of the evening. Actually, no. we're not going to start with our first cocktail of the evening. We're going to start our Whiskey Geek of the Week quiz. For those of you who don't remember, I asked you a series of whiskey-related questions through the broadcast. It'd be handy if you've got a pen, a pencil, some paper, so you can write down your answers. You've got to be a bit of a whiskey geek to pick out these answers. But the idea is I give you a whole bunch of questions, and at the end you need to work out a code with your answers from the questions. And what you've got to find out at the very end is you've got to tell me what whiskey I've got in this glass. So what have I been drinking tonight? It's a brand name, so it's not the specific release, but which brand of whiskey have I been drinking? I will give you a clue right up front and tell you it's a Scotch whiskey. Okay, so it's a Scotch whiskey, that's my big clue. So here's a couple of questions before we get into the first cocktail of this evening's broadcast. Here we go. Question number one. So, a little bit of whiskey history here actually. I did a little bit of rooting around to see if I could pick out some facts that you didn't know. So here we go. The origin of Scotch whiskey production is traced right the way back to the 12th century monasteries. So my question for you is, if you can trace it back to the monasteries, who were the people responsible for its production? So who were the people responsible for the 12th century production of Scotch whiskey? And the clue is monasteries. Okay, so an easy one, right? Hopefully you got that question right. Just write down your answer because you're going to need that with all the other questions as well. And then question two, before we go into our first cocktail of the evening, is, and it continues the story really. So these people, the people that you had to write down the answer for, they ended up becoming the first Scottish distillers by trade. And that was when they lost their original jobs following the dissolution of the monasteries in England in the early 1500s by which king? So which king introduced the dissolution of the monasteries? This was in the early 1500s. If your history is okay, you can work this out really easily. If you went to school and did a bit of history, you should know the answer to this. And I'll tell you what, if you didn't do any of that, you can just Google it and find out the answer. But which English king introduced the dissolution of the monasteries in the early 1500s? Okay, so those are two questions. Let's get into a bit of cocktail mixology. Just speak to a few of you. Jenna Smith, love this. So with my mum, Deborah Cowley. Hi Paul, we're logged in. John's on the coffee. Hey, that's where you want him, I think. Actually, I'm not sure. Yeah, keep him on the coffee because that's going to be a safe place for John, I think. All right, here we go. So our first cocktail of this evening is a bit of a play on another drink, but I like to do that. I like to take established cocktails and then evolve them into other things. And I call this a Whiskey Negroni Royale. A Whiskey Negroni Royale. So a Negroni, for those of you that don't know, is a combination of Campari, sweet vermouth and gin. So we're taking the gin out, we're replacing it with whiskey, and then we're turning it into a Royale. So I'm going to start with my glass. I got this beauty, by the way. What do you think? Because I know you guys like glasses. So I'm starting with, this is a 10 to 12 ounce highball glass, a rather nice one, but that's what I'm going to use for my drink. And then we're going to make this in two parts. We're going to start by shaking it. So let me get my tattoo shaker out and we're going to add the ingredients. So we're going to start, obviously, with our whiskey. So I'm going to put in 25 ml of whiskey, obviously from my gorgeous decanter here, which is not a genie bottle, but is actually a representation of a still, which, by the way, I've just dropped some of that whiskey on the bar, which is sacrilege. Okay, and then we're going to add 25 ml of Campari. So Campari actually is one of those ingredients that really divides people. You either love it or you hate it, and a lot of people hate it. But actually, if you blend it up nicely, then all those bitter notes that tend to put a lot of people off actually blend beautifully into the cocktail, and you end up liking something that you wouldn't necessarily drink straight. So we got 25 of whiskey. We've got 25 of Campari, and then I'm adding 25 of, this is Martini Sweet Vermouth. So 25 ml again. Here we go. That's good. And then just add that into our shaker. So we now got 75 ml of alcohol. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a really good shake. So I'm going to add some ice to my shaker, take the other half, get the glass ready, and then give this a shake. And we don't want to shake too long, but we want to shake really quite firmly. The idea is to mix it and chill it. Okay, let's get that open. That's good. Now I'm going to pour this into the glass. Now you can strain this over new ice, but actually I quite like pouring it with the ice that I should. I'm going to pour this into the glass like so, which is going to bring it up to about halfway. I'm then going to add a little more ice to the glass to bring the level up. But I'm not going to bring it the whole way up with ice, because the thing that's going to turn this into a Royale is by us adding some sparkling wine. Now I have chosen Prosecco. You can choose Prosecco or Champagne or Cava or whatever you want to go for, something from California. They make some amazing sparkling wines out there. But I'm going for this Prosecco, and this actually is a non-alcoholic Prosecco. So this is no different in the sense of being non-alcoholic than if you put something like lemonade in this, but this is made from Chardonnay grapes, this one, so I guess it's almost like more than a non-alcoholic Prosecco. It's more like a non-alcoholic Champagne, I think. But I'm going to top it up with that. You can use alcoholic Prosecco or Champagne, but just bring that up to around about the top of the glass. A little bit more I'm going to add. Let's just bring that up. It's a beautiful colour. It's a wonderful aroma. I'm going to add a straw. So let's just pop this straw in there. I'm going to give it another stir. And that is our cocktail number 1 for the evening. This is our Whiskey Negroni Royale. And an amazing flavour actually. So I'm going to taste it myself. I know what it tastes like, but you want to know what I think. And what I said about the Campari smoothing out is amply demonstrated in this drink. What you get is you get all the flavour you want from Campari, but actually I'm not a major Campari drinker in terms of drinking it straight. So for me it's a bit too bitter to drink straight or on the rocks, but in this cocktail, especially with the sweetness that comes from the Prosecco or the sparkling wine, it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, what else have we got going on here? Richie Ward, hi, I'm here on the Lakes, Lakes Distillery, the one. Okay, so they produce some fabulous whiskey. Marie, hello, how you doing? Lubka drinking Aperol Spritz. Okay, so we're not far off, in a sense. I mean, Aperol and Campari sort of got similar characteristics. Bruce, sparkling cider might work well for that drink as well. Yeah, sure, sparkling cider, soft drink sodas, anything like that. You can just sort of run with them, experiment. But actually a fabulous aperitif. I'm just going to pop that over there. And as you know that sometimes they disappear off the bar, come back half full, and we know why that happens. But that's our cocktail number 1 for the evening. Remember, if you're making any of these cocktails, send us a photograph. A lot of you say, yeah, I'm going to mix them, I'm going to send you photographs, and I do get those photographs coming in occasionally, but not as often as I think you probably intend. So go for it, get the cocktails done. It doesn't matter if they don't look exactly the same. Send us a picture, let us know what you think about them, let us know how they work out. Excuse me. Paul Slade, by the way, it's not a corona cough, just in case you're wondering. Paul Slade, who is a regular, and those of you who are regulars will know that he's on here with us normally on a Wednesday night. He's not here tonight, but he let me know last week that he's been writing down every whiskey recipe that I've done since I started broadcasting with you guys 2-3 years ago. Obviously back then they weren't as frequent, now it's every Wednesday. But he's got about 50 odd recipes that I've done, and I mentioned this to you all last week. I'm going to try and collate them at some point, put them into a book of some kind, probably a free downloadable something or another, but get them out to everyone as well, just in case you want to knock yourself out and make up some of these drinks. So I don't know if you stopped talking to me or the comments are frozen, because that happens sometimes, but let's move on to the second part of our Whiskey Geek of the Week little quiz. So you should have, so far, 2 answers from the first 2 questions. One was about Scottish whisky production in 12th century. The other one was about which king actually introduced the dissolution of the monasteries in 1500. What we're going on to now are questions number 3 and number 4. Remember, talk to me, tell me what you're drinking, tell me what's going on. Otherwise I start to feel a little bit lonely without you guys talking to me. So here we go. Question number 3. Get your pen and your paper ready. And further on in terms of the history of whiskey. In 1644, the first tax was charged against whiskey. So what happened, this created this sort of long ongoing battle between people who smuggled whiskey and the excise men who wanted to charge the tax. And a load of illicit or illegal distilleries were being run and hidden. So they were being hidden and built in caves, dug into the hills, all sorts of places. Anywhere really that could be found. What I want to know is that people who ran illegal distilleries had a very particular name. They were known as what? This is very famous. We use this everywhere. We use this in the UK and we also use this in America as well. So what were those people known as? The people who ran illegal. Simon is here. Thank you very much. Good to know you're there. Don't you plan to make it as an ebook? Yeah, that's exactly. Bruce, we're just so awestruck we're speechless. Right, okay. And Tom is saying, I prefer Johnny Black up straight, 2 fingers, no ice. Well, look, whatever you're saying there, listen, Tom, I know exactly what you're saying there, but if you read that slowly, it just doesn't sound right, does it? So, Johnny Black up straight, 2 fingers, no ice. Okay, that's what Tom is drinking. Question number 4. Here we go. In 1777, so we've moved on in the history of whiskey, and we need these answers to help us find our new Geek of the Week. In 1777, there were 8 legal distilleries and hundreds of illegal hidden stills, and that was particularly in the Highlands and in the islands of Scotland. And they were expertly hidden. And so much so that they eventually rose until there were many thousands of these illegal distilleries. But how many legal ones did I say? I started this paragraph by telling you exactly how many legal distilleries there were at that time in 1777. So how many? That's question number 4. Question number 4. Get it down. You should have 4 answers now, which is helping you on the way to answering our eventual question, which will decide who is our whiskey of the week. Tom's written moonshiners, so it's not moonshiners actually, Tom, but Tom, don't put the answers in here. Tom, we want you to write them down because people need to work this out and come up with a code at the end. Bob, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm glad you joined us. Excuse me. Lloyd, usually I'm putting the kids to bed now, so I always miss this, but they're having a late night. Fantastic. How are your kids, Lloyd? And late night. Where are you, by the way? Are you in the UK or whatever? What's this? Can we have question 2 from last week? Says Simon. So, right, okay, just so you know, that's an in-joke from another group on Facebook that Simon's put in there. But I'm trying to work it out. Well, I can't even remember what question 2 was from last week. You must feel good having the opportunity to say that and get that back out there. All right, let's do another cocktail. So, cocktail number 2 that I'm going to do for you this evening is called a Blue Flush. And I'm using another one of my my sort of period glasses, you know, one of these sort of retro glasses. This, I guess in a sense, this looks a little bit like a modern day sort of 1970s, 1980s dessert glass. But actually, if you go back to 1920s, 30s, this was a sort of traditional style of champagne coupe or martini style glass. So they, you know, those conical ones that we know like this sort of glass is really much more now. These are definitely the glasses that these sort of cocktails were produced in back in the 1920s. So I'm using this beautiful one again, come from our sponsor Urban Bar, which I keep mentioning, but I'm mentioning it for a reason because I worked out something for you guys with them as well. Anyway, before we start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a sugar rim on this glass so that the glass is ready for the cocktail. So what I have here is granulated sugar. You probably can't see too well. If I can hide the light a little bit, you might be able to tell that it's sugar. But trust me when I say it, I've got a plate, a saucer with granulated sugar. Now, this granulated sugar is, oh, I can hear a phone actually from somewhere. Where did that come from? That was kind of weird. It's almost like that was my own phone talking to me. I better get that on silent. So this here, this vanilla sugar, we created really simply. All you do is you get a jar, fill it with granulated sugar, take a vanilla pod and just put it in. That's all you have to do. And you leave it in there for enough time, and before you know it, that pod will infuse the sugar with vanilla, so you'll end up with this vanilla sugar. So that's what I've got here. So I'm going to take a lime, and the reason why I'm using a lime is because there's going to be some lime juice in this cocktail, and I'm just going to cut a little bit off the lime so I can use it to dampen the edge of the glass. So let's get that cut like so. Oh, let's do this. Just taking it off the top like that. Let's get our board out the way, and I'm going to run the rim of the glass like so. So just touching the lime like this, and then we are putting that into the sugar, and what you can see is that the sugar now has attached itself to the top of the glass. Let's move that out of the way. Now our glass is ready. I'm going to make our cocktail, and remember it's called a Blue Flush, and again it's another whiskey based drink. So I'm going to take a more traditional shaker this time. I'm going to take my shaker with the glass base, and I'm going to add the ingredients, and the ingredients start of course with our whiskey. Remember, you don't yet know what this whiskey is because you should be guessing what that is, but I'm going to be putting in a little bit more than our previous cocktail. So this time I want around about 30 to 35 ml of whiskey in there. So I'm just going to bring it up to that 35 ml level, and I'm just going to drop that in like so. That's good. By the way, I know a couple of you agreed with my wife that that is looks like a genie bottle. But what do you think as a decanter? Because this really is based on an old still. I think it's gorgeous myself. All right, whiskey is in there. Next thing that we're going to add is some of this. This is Archer's, which you should all know, I think. Archer's is a schnapps, and a peach flavour schnapps, and really quite sweet, incredibly deep and rich with that peach flavour, and perfect for this drink. And I'm putting in less than the whiskey. So we had 35 ml of whiskey, I'm putting in 25 ml of the Archers. Good. And then of course, the thing that is going to make this blue is going to be some blue curacao. Let me just move that out of the way. And for those of you that, I'm sure everyone is familiar with blue curacao. Tell me if you're not, but I'm sure that you all are. The thing that many people don't know is they might recognize blue curacao, but they don't necessarily know what it tastes of. Those of you who tune in frequently have seen me use this before, so you should remember. But the flavor is orange. So it is the same thing that they use to flavor triple sec or Cointreau, those sort of bitter oranges from the curacao. In fact, you can even see they got some little oranges on the label here. So blue in color, but orange in flavor. So we put in a lot of fruit flavor here. And again, I'm going to go to around about the same level. So I'm going to go 25. So we've got equal amounts each of the Archers, which is the peach, the blue curacao, which is the orange, and of course our whiskey, slightly more at 35 ml. All right, let me just give that a quick rinse. That's good, and leave that on the side there to drain. Now, we're going to take another lime, because I'm going to use that bit, and I'm going to cut this lime in half, and we're going to take the juice from that lime and add it to our cocktail. So I want all the juice from one lime, so I'm going to take both half, putting it into my juice squeezer. That was a little bit dry on that side, so I'm hoping there's going to be a bit more come out of the other half. So let's get that in. That's better. There we go. This is looking good now. This is very good. Make sure I get all of that in there. And you can use lemon. You can use lemon if you want, but the reason why I use lime is because I want the sharpness and the citrus from the lime, but I don't want it as sharp as lemon is. You know, in a sense, lime is softer and sweeter actually than a lemon. It doesn't bite as much, and that's what we want, because a lemon would probably dominate the flavor of this drink too much. So I got everything that I need. I'm going to add some ice to this. Get the ice in. That's good. And let's put that up. And then we're going to take our shaker, and we're going to give this a bit of a shake. Let's turn it over. Actually, before I shake it, anyone talking to me? How are we doing? Simon said that, Nikki. Oh, so glad I was making notes. Gary, on the Glen Moray this week. Paul, you put me in the notion last week. Okay, Lloyd in sunny Wales, Nikki very pretty glass, and Simon Smurf juice. Right, let's check out this Smurf juice. Here we go. Give it a good shake. Bring those flavours together. I actually want to shake this for a little bit longer than I would normally, and that's longer than I would. Open up, and then I'm going to take my strainer because I don't want any ice in this drink. I just want this straight into the glass. And you'll see it's a wonderful blue colour coming up just short of the sugar rim for our glass. Because we don't want it to touch the sugar rim because then everything will go blue and the sugar will fall off. But that is our blue flush. And that cocktail is our cocktail number 2. And I think actually looks quite beautiful. In many ways, blue cocktails often look a little bit sort of, I don't know, gimmicky, I think. But I don't know, I tend to like this one. I think it's pretty cool. And the idea of the sugar rim is to add more sweetness. So when you taste it, you drink through the sugar rim, which I'm going to demonstrate to you right now. Let's just try that. Oh, it's gorgeous, actually. I would say, excuse me, I would say that if you're going to make this drink, and I always say pick your whiskey, you know, just go for it. I would probably stay away from an Islay whiskey or anything with you know, obvious peat and smokiness in there. I'm thinking that, you know, something like a Lagavulin, which is so gorgeous and rich and peaty and smoky, actually wouldn't benefit this drink. I think you need something a little more, I don't know, I keep going back to sherry, but you know, that sort of sherry Speyside type whiskey, I think in here would go absolutely beautiful. So let's move that over there. That's our whiskey cocktail number 2 for this evening. Another little cheers to you. Smurf, I like that actually. Vicky, watching you right now. Not sure what you mean, but hi Vicky anyway. Barry's not talking either, so he's not here and he's not talking. Oh, is that to Barry? Okay, nice decanter, Genie or no Genie? I think it's a gorgeous decanter. That looks amazing, says Nikki. I agree. I think that looks gorgeous. I'm really happy with the colour of that drink. I think it came out well. The flavour is fantastic. And Kieran agreeing with Nikki as well. Another cheers. What have I got? Well, you've got to find out what I've got. So, But if we're going to do this together, I might as well pour myself another small drop. Don't want to run dry in my glass. By the way, I know that, you know, many of you really passionate whiskey fans out there. I have a question for you. For you, when you drink whiskey, should it be with ice, without, with water, without? You know my views on this because I've shared it with you many times before. And I've even had really quite sort of passionate discussions with people whose job it is to be a master distiller for various famous brands. And they've been quite sort of passionate discussions, but also really friendly and quite drunk as well sometimes. But I've always thought that if you think about it, when whiskey comes out of a cask or a barrel, it's not 40%, you know, it's all sorts of cask strength. So water has already been added to it to bring it down to 40%. So why add more water? That's my view. But of course, what I'm told is by adding water, it opens up the aromas in the bouquet. So I sort of get that. But I like to argue that point. What do you do? With water, with ice, with both, with neither? Let me know. Let me know. All right, more questions coming up. Let's see how we are doing on our Whiskey Geek of the Week, a little quiz. We've had 4 questions so far. We've got a few more to come. Canadian rye whiskey. Cool. Barry is just whiskey. Yeah, I'm pleased to hear that. Same as me. Bob has a drop of water only. So when you say, Bob, when you say a drop of water only, do you actually mean that? So do you use a water dropper, like a pipette? So I know that a lot of people are so passionate about exactly how much water that they'll use a little pipette to just drop a bit in. Is that you, Bob? Is that what you do? Interested. Bruce, with ice, or frozen stone, or metal cubes. You just like it chilled. That's all. Paul, no water, no ice, and no mixer, just the whiskey for me. Okay, so a few people fall in the same side as me, and this is generally how it goes, and a few people on the other side. as long as we all enjoy the whiskey, right? That's the only thing that matters. All right, here we go. Question number 5 in our Whiskey Geek of the Week for this week. I'm trying to make it a bit more difficult this week, only because the last 2 weeks you just sort of found it too easy for some reason. Question 5, a little bit more history and obviously a question. So, it wasn't until 1823 that the tax people actually decided that they would legalize production and started giving licenses. The first license, by the way, went to George Smith of Glenlivet in 1824. So I guess that makes Glenlivet the oldest, not the oldest distillery, but the oldest license holder for Scotch whisky. I guess. I might be wrong about that, but hey. Anyway, within a decade, almost all the illegal stills are gone. And it was around this time that somebody by the name of Ananias Coffey created the coffee still. So when I'm talking about still, for those of you that are not as geeky as others about whiskey, a still like this is what is used to distill whiskey into what we understand it to be. It's how we make whiskey. We put it in here, we boil it up, and the vapor comes out, and we condense it, and then we age it. That's a simplified version of it. That's a still. This is a kind of pot still. Coffee still that was designed by Ananias Coffey is known by 2 other names today. As people still call it a coffee still, but moreover they call it something more contemporary. So what is it known as today, that type of still? Not this one here, but the one that Ananias Coffey designed. And you can have either, so one or the other, because they both give us what we want. So that's question number 5. What is that still more commonly called today? All right, it's getting quite geeky, am I right? Question 6, moving forward to 1915, First World War, British Prime Minister David Lloyd George introduced the Immature Spirits Act. This was the first time in 1915 that whiskey was actually regulated. And this is where they introduced a minimum what? So it's a minimum what for it to be known as whiskey. So minimum something of maturation. I hope I'm making that easy enough for you. But it had to be a particular what in order for it to be called whiskey. Okay, maybe I didn't write that question too well. And you can complain to me afterwards if I didn't, if you're not happy with that question. All right, so in a second, we are going to move on to our Mix With Me cocktail. So it's a new feature. We've been doing it for about 3 or 4 weeks now. And what I do is I release the list of ingredients a few days in advance, which enables you to get the ingredients and then join me now so that we can mix this drink together. And the idea, particularly as we are in lockdown at the moment, is that I'm not actually giving you ingredients that are difficult to find and that you've got to go out and buy. I'm actually giving you ingredients that hopefully you are likely to have at home or just hanging around, because I want you to be able to see how you can turn sometimes any old bits and pieces into quite a decent cocktail. So before we get to it, I'm just going to give you a quick reminder of those ingredients. I said obviously some whiskey. You're going to need some whiskey because we're all about whiskey here at Dream Whiskies. And then 3 other things. So I said get some orange juice. And if you don't have any orange juice, an orange will do. So an orange or some orange juice in a carton. Then I said get some spices, dried spices, and I said it can be anything really. You know, it could be a mixed spice, some cinnamon, some ginger. Ginger's good actually, but if you don't have any of those, whatever kind of dry spices you've got that you can use, and then finally a soda. And when I say a soda, in the UK when we say soda, people tend to think of just soda water. Just carbonated water, but what I mean is a soda. So I'm recommending ginger ale or ginger beer, but you can put in whatever you want. You can put in carbonated water, but you can put in tonic, you can put in whatever you want. My recommendation is ginger beer. So those 4 ingredients, you need the whiskey, the orange, the spices, and the soda. And in a second, we are going to make that cocktail together. Before we do this, Richie, I would taste it first and then decide if ice or not. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Bob, for bouquet, and yes, a drop. All right, I'm pleased to hear that. And Michael, what's going on there? Only 1 addition, that's more whiskey. And that's my man. That's the way that I go. That's the way we roll. listen, I reckon in this whiskey community, if all we can do is actually disagree over whether it should have water or not, I think we got life right. Because we don't disagree over much else. We just tend to like whiskey, right? Are you ready? Here we go. We are going for our Mix It With Me cocktail for this evening. So this is how we are going to start. Now, I'm going to use a pestle. You don't have to use a pestle. You can just put this straight into your shaker. But the reason why I'm using a pestle is because I've got it, and if you've got it, you can use it. I just want to bring the spices together, that's all. Now, the other reason I guess I'm using a pestle is to say that if you don't have pre-ground spices, but you have sort of solid bits and pieces like this, so you might have a stick of cinnamon, which you can snap up. Here, I'm just going to put it up to the screen. Can you see that? These are just little cloves. You might want to break them down a bit, or you can do it in a coffee grinder beforehand. So I've got some cloves there. This is a little bit of dried ginger. I'm just going to pour that in with the cloves, just to, I don't know, give it a little bit more. I've also got some mixed spice here. I actually want quite a blend of spices. You can go whichever way you want. I can tell you now, those of you who know my wife, because she was here a few weeks ago as a guest, and so you know her now, but she absolutely hates cloves. So, which is not a good idea that I put this in, because she can't taste it now. Or maybe it is a good idea, because now I can keep it for myself. But I've got this sort of mixed spice mix as well. Whatever rocks your boat, or as it floats your boat. I think it floats your boat. I'm just going to tap some of this mixed spice in here. Just a little bit. All right, we're good. And so I'm going to grind that up. Now remember, if you're doing this at home and you've already got grind spices, that's fine. Don't worry about it. If you don't have a pestle, don't worry about it. Just put it straight into your cocktail shaker, which is what I'm going to do in a second. If you have fresh spices, so for example, if you've got fresh root ginger, you know what? Just chop that up and keep it to the side, because we'll put it in at the same we would have put this in. You can do whatever you want. There are no hard and fast rules. We just need to be versatile. Versatile. Who's talking? Jane, don't panic, Paul. I'll taste it. I'm sure you will. Jane was our guest as well, as some of you might remember. And Bruce is using a pumpkin pie spice mix, which I'm not entirely sure what that is, having not tried it, but just the sound of it sounds great. So I'm loving the sound of that. All right, so I've ground it up. Remember, you could have done that in your cocktail shaker, and that's fine. But whatever happens now, I want this into your shaker, or whatever you are using to shake your drink. So remember, I've said this to you in the past, you don't have to have a cocktail shaker. You can use an old water bottle or anything, you know, a jar. You can, whatever it is you're going to use, just put it in there now. Now, if you were using fresh, like fresh ginger, and you've got that chopped up, that should be in there now. And you can smash it up a little bit in the bottom as well. I don't know if you can get hold of fresh turmeric. We generally tend to see it as dried. Turmeric is an interesting one for this. It's not the kind of spice that I would want. But if you do put a little bit of turmeric in, it makes the colour amazing, like incredible yellow gold colour. What's this going on here? Simon, I think the phrase is floats your goat. Yes, I knew it was that. I knew it was floats your goat. Yeah, I'm loving that. Okay, Jane, I'm using the bloke in the corner to shake my drink. Right, okay, I wonder what he was doing over there. All right, so we got our spices in there. Now we're going to add our whiskey. I don't want to scrimp on the whiskey, really. I want to make sure that I've got enough to infuse. So I'm going to put in a full 50 ml of whiskey. So bring it right up to the top of your 50 ml measure. If you've got a 50 ml measure, let's get that in there. That's good. So now I've got something which doesn't look particularly appetizing at this moment. Just let me grab my bar spoon. But I want to bring the flavors together. Because we're going to take most of this out by the time we serve it. So I want to get my spoon in there. I'm actually going to use the other end of my spoon. But you can use any old spoon, doesn't matter what it is. But just stir those around. And again, if you've got fresh anything in there, like the fresh ginger, for example, then give that a good old stir. And don't worry about it looking a little bit undesirable at the moment, because it's the finished product that we're really interested in. Okay, give it a smell. And hopefully you can smell those spices coming through. If not, you need to smash them up a little bit more, I guess. All right, we're good. Now we're going to add the next part of our ingredients. So I asked you to get spices. I also asked you to get an orange or orange juice. So I'm using an orange. In actual fact, I'm going to show you, I'm using an orange which is not entirely fresh. This one's been sitting there for a little while. But hey, we're in lockdown, so we need to just accept that life isn't perfect, and nor are oranges. And in actual fact, there was a time that I probably would have chucked that out, and I actually feel quite guilty about that because there is nothing wrong with this baby, and we're gonna find out right now. So I'm going to take my orange, I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm already finding, look at that, so look how juicy that is. And just based on the skin, which didn't look particularly great, that was already, getting itself towards being thrown away. I actually feel a little bit ashamed of myself that I might have done that. But it's funny how a little change in your life circumstances can make you rethink the way you behave. So I'm going to take all the juice out of that. I'm going to put it into my squeezer. If you don't have a squeezer, doesn't matter. Just use a fork and get it in there. But get the juice out of your orange. And this is actually a pretty juicy little number. Just going to tip that to the side, and that's enough actually for me. If you've got an orange which is a little bit older and a bit drier, then squeeze both halves and get as much out as you can. But there is enough in that for me. So now we've got our whiskey, our spices, and our orange together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some ice in there now, and I'm going to give this a bit of a shake. And the reason for the shake is I just want to bash everything together at this stage. I want to make sure that all those flavours really come together before I start to filter that out and get it into our glass. So, here we go. Same as well, if you've got the fresh stuff in there, just shake everything together. Okay, so this drink is actually called a spicy whiskey Ricky. A spicy whiskey Ricky. And it is a slightly more sophisticated take on what would be really a whiskey and ginger ale. If you like whiskey and ginger ale, then that's going to be great for you, but this will take it to another level. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want too much of this stuff in there, in terms of the bits and pieces, I'm going to strain it, but I'm also going to put it through my fine strainer, which is this, which is like a tea strainer really. It just looks a little posher. And I'm going to put it into this gorgeous looking glass, and we're just going to strain that slowly. And what will happen is obviously some of the spices are going to make their way through, so you're going to have spice in there, but anything that is unpalatable and a little bit heavy is just going to get caught in our fine strainer. And there we go. I'm just going to give that a tap to get the last bits through, and there we go. And let's get that over to our sink. So let's just pop that in there. So we have now our whiskey orange mix, but now simply all we want to do is top it up with our soda. And I'm going to use ginger ale. You can use ginger beer, which is spicy. Actually, like I say, you can use whatever really comes to mind for you. But I'm using this ginger ale, and in actual fact, do you know this brand, everybody? I'm sure you do. It's sold in all the supermarkets. This is Fever Tree. This one is actually a spiced orange ginger ale, which is fantastic. If you don't have this, regular ginger ale is absolutely fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently top it up, bring it to within, as ever, about 1 centimetre of the top of the glass. Let's put that to the side. Then I'm going to take my orange down here. Actually, let me get the orange in a place where you can see it. So let's just move that forward for a second. So let's get the orange where you can see it. And I just want a little bit of orange in there to add to the presentation, really. Let's get that like so. So let's drop that little piece in there on the surface. It kind of looks pretty. And again, a straw, I mean these days we should be using paper straws or recyclable straws or whatever. I'm sorry, I still have some plastic straws left over, so This is not me being anti-environment. I'm just thinking, you know, I have them, I might as well use them. And actually, to be honest with you, when it's just us at home, they often get taken out, washed out and reused again. Not for other people, just for us at home. So this is drink number 3. This is our mix with me. How have you done? Who was actually mixing along with me? And what did you get? Did you get something that looks like that? Is this how your drinks look? What I would love you to do, if you've mixed along with me tonight, is take a photograph of your drink and send it to me. You can't post it direct to our page on Facebook, but if you send it to me as a messenger attachment, or if you've got a Dream Whiskers email, you can send it to me like that. But if you send it to me by messenger, we'll stick them on the website. Sorry, not on the website, we'll stick them on our Facebook page and we'll make sure they're up there and give you a shout out. Clarky Boy is hi folks, just joined us, and Cheryl Martin is embarrassed for me. Where is she? That's the question. She's not here. She's just somewhere else being embarrassed for me. Let's have a little taste of this drink. By the way, tell me, have you made it tonight? How many of you have made along with us tonight? And this is gorgeous, actually. You know, when you think about it, that would actually make a fabulous cocktail for Christmas. So if you were making some kind of Christmas drink, that sort of infusion of spices with whiskey is a great way to go. And I'll tell you something else as well. The other thing that you can do with this infusion of spices is you can use the same idea if you're making a Manhattan or an Old Fashioned or any of those other whiskey cocktails where you bring something a little more festive to it. So keep that in mind as you get towards Christmas. All right, Lubka, what's going on? I did not know what we need for Mix With Me tonight. So why am I not getting this information to you? I might have to send it to you guys another way. So just so you do know, I post it on the Facebook page every week, a few days in advance, so you got it. And I also send out an email with the ingredients on as well. If you think I could do this a better way, let me know. Maybe put a post on the website or maybe get an email out earlier. Let me know what you think, because obviously we'd like more and more of you to do this. Made one, turned out good, said Bruce. Bruce, make sure you send me that photograph as well. Simon saying, sorry, didn't make one this week. We'll try harder next week. Well, Simon, you better try harder, because if you don't step up to the plate and mix, then you might lose a position in the corner. We might have to give that corner to someone else. Although you were last week's Whiskey Geek of the Week, weren't you? Right, talking of a Whiskey Geek of the Week, let's come to the last part of our quiz for this week and see who is going to be this week's Whiskey Geek of the Week. All right, 3 more questions for you on this before we go into our VIP giveaway and a few little shout outs before we come to the end of our broadcast. But you should so far have 6 answers to 6 questions, 3 more, and these are not actually questions about whiskey history anymore. This is just whiskey related questions for you to answer. So question number 7 is, which distillery was built by Hugh and John Stevenson and opened in 1794 and is famously just 208 steps from the sea? So if you're into whiskey, you sort of know that. And if you're not into whiskey, you might have to cheat right now and Google that. So, which distillery was built by Hugh and John Stevenson? It opened in 1794 and is famously just 208 steps from the river. Or you can put them as a status on your Facebook. Well, I do stick them on the Facebook page, Lubka. I wonder if you're not seeing them. I'll look into that, because obviously I want to make sure that you do that. Simon, don't give my corner away. Simon, just to be clear, not giving your corner away. I think you are relinquishing your corner. Unless, of course, you pick up the reins and come back with a vengeance. Richie's saying messenger group. Oh, what, to put out the ingredients? All right, that's an idea. Yeah. Messenger group, so I need to sort of tag you guys in there. All right, let me look into that as well, Richie. I'll see if I can do that. All right, question number 8, everyone. Here we go. Glenlivet produce a range of whiskies called Najura. So when they first released it, there was one Glenlivet Najura. Now there are a number of different expressions, Najura. So what I want to know is the Gaelic Nadura. What does it actually mean? What does Nadura mean? So Glenlivet produced a range of whiskies called Nadura. What I want to know is, what does Nadura mean? All right. One more question. And then I'm going to tell you what I need from you. And the first person in with the correct answer to tell me what whiskey I've been drinking tonight will be our Whiskey Geek of the Week for the next week. A picture of you with the title Whiskey Geek of the Week will appear on our Facebook page, pinned to the top. Simon spent the last week there. Paul Musson spent the previous week there. Who is it going to be this week? Question 9. Here we go. Jack Daniels have produced a couple of commemorative bottles celebrating old saloons owned by Jack himself. Okay, one of them is the Red Dog Saloon. Here, I'll show you the bottle. This was the bottle they released. Okay, Red Dog Saloon. And the other one was called the White what? The White something Saloon. What is that something? So there was the Red Dog Saloon, and then there was another bottle which was celebrating the White something Saloon. So that is question 9. You should now have 9 different answers. And this is what I would like you to do. I would like you to take the first letter of each one of those answers. So that should give you 9 letters. Those 9 letters are an anagram of this whiskey distillery. What's the distillery? The first person to put the answer in the comments will be our Whiskey Geek Week for this week. A thumbs up from Cheryl there. I'm not sure what the thumbs up is for. It could be for maybe the drink that she stole without any of you noticing. So remember that there were 2 drinks there, and now there is, rather there were 3 drinks there, and now there is only 2 drinks there. She did actually leave something for me in its place, but fortunately out of shot of camera, which I'm delighted that she did. Big thumbs up from Cheryl. Anybody got the answer? It looks like, whereas week 1 and week 2, we had answers actually in advance of us getting to this point. It looks like you're a little bit stuck this week. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through the questions. I'm going to give you the answers to the questions, which means that if you've got a number of questions that you don't know the answer to, then you can find out. And as soon as you worked out what that anagram is, get the answer in there. You will be our Whiskey Geek of the Week for this week. So remember, 9 letters, the first letter of each answer. The first question that I asked you was about the 12th century monasteries. I said, who were the people responsible for producing whiskey back then? It was monks. Monks were. So we're looking for M if you got monks. By the way, if you got monks, congratulations, well done. Question 2, I said these people, the monks, actually eventually became the first Scottish distillers by trade. And that was when they lost their original jobs as monks because of the dissolution of the monasteries by which English king? That king was King Henry VIII. Henry VIII. Jane said, what did you leave him, Cheryl? Luca, elephant, is that your answer? It's not the right answer, but good try, Luca. Is there an elephant whiskey? If there is, I don't know it, but I'd like to know what that is. Question 3, I said to you, this was about tax and this was about people running illegal distilleries. And I said, what were the people that run the illegal distilleries called? Maybe there was some confusion here, but the answer to that, and this might help some of you with the overall clue, the answer to that is they were known as bootleggers. Bootleggers was the answer that I was looking for. Question 4. In 1777, I said all stuff about how many illegal distilleries, but I mentioned that there were 8 distilleries, 8 legal distilleries. That was the answer to number 4. So far you should have answers monks, Henry VIII, bootleggers, and 8. Question 5, I spoke about this still designed by Aeneas Coffey. It wasn't a pot still like this. These days, it's known as either a column still or a continuous still. You can have either answer because they both begin with C, and it's the first letter that we want. We got some comments here. What have we got? Jesse saying hi. Is something to make him okay. Balmanak says, Lubka, oh my goodness, getting close, but it's very close. Jess is saying, my head looks super shiny. Thank you very much, Jess. Jess is just signing on to talk about my head and make me laugh because she is my daughter and that's why she's on, to make me laugh. Jane, what are you saying? You're wicked. Yes, she is wicked. And now you're all talking to each other. So wife and daughter are talking to each other and leaving things on the bar to hopefully distract me. Jane, you will find out what was on the bar, but it's not going to happen during this broadcast. All right, question 6 was this. I moved forward to 1915. I spoke about the First World War and David Lloyd George and the Immature Spirits Act. I said it's where they introduced a minimum what? It was a minimum age, where whiskey had to be a minimum age to be considered Scotch whiskey. Originally it was 2 years, it then became 3 years. 3 years of maturation. So the word I'm looking for there is age. You should now have quite a few letters. You should have M, H, B, E, C, and A. And then I gave you 3 final questions, and I still see none of you are coming through with the answer. Lubka, if nobody gets the answer, you are close. So I might allow you to be our Whiskey Geek of the Week if nobody gets this. Question 7 is this. Which distillery was built by Hugh and John Stevenson and opened in 1794 and is famous for just 208 steps away from the sea? That is Oban. It is the Oban distillery. Getting there. Somebody, do you have the answer? Take the first letters and turn them into a whiskey distillery. Question 8. Glenlivet produced a range of whiskies called Nadura. I asked you what Nadura means. It means natural. Nadura means natural, gives you an N. That's an O and an N. And the last one that I said to you is Jack Daniels released a couple of commemorative bottles to commemorate the opening of saloons that were actually owned by Jack Daniels himself, or Jasper Newton Daniel, as he was known. One was Red Dog, they released this one, and the other one was White Rabbit, the White Rabbit Saloon. And so it was the word rabbit that you wanted. So you now have the letters R, N, O, A, C, E, B, H, and M, and what I want from you is an anagram of a whiskey that is in this that will make you the Whiskey Geek of the Week. Wow, we've got the last couple of... Ben Romack! It's Richard Webster, who is not Richard Webster, of course. That's Michael Nolan. Michael, congratulations. You are our Whiskey Geek of the Week. I'm actually thinking that I made that too difficult this week. I might make it a little bit easier next week. But you are our Whiskey Geek of the Week. Mr. Already Richard Webster, do you want to just put something out there? Oh, Kaz came in just shortly after with Ben Romack. Seems like you sort of got there. You got there in the end. I will definitely find a midway point between what I did for weeks 1 and 2 and what I've done this week, because it definitely seemed a little bit tougher. Want people to be able to get this. All right, good job. Simon, congrats to Michael. Yeah, absolutely. He's taken over that. So what I'm going to need from you, now that you are our Whiskey Geek of the Week, is I need a picture of you with a whiskey so that I can put your picture up. Now, I know that you sent me a picture of the cocktail set without you in it. So if it's something that's, for whatever reason, you don't want this on screen, just send me a picture from here down with you and your whiskey, all right? But if you're okay with people seeing your face, then that's fine, and give me the whole lot. But either one, whichever one you want, but I need a picture, so messenger it to me so that I can get you into our Whiskey Geek of the Week frame and up on the page. What else are we going there? Late to the party, missed the beginning. Yeah, but you picked up at the end as well. Barry, I wrote down White instead of Peter Rabbit. Okay. Wrote down white instead of the rabbit. All right, I got that. And would you got there is the question, Barry. All right, so we are near the end of this week's broadcast, but we have a couple of things just to run by you. First thing to say is this. Look, I'm going to do a pump for this. If you are not yet a VIP member, now is the time to sign up. Now is really the time to sign up. There is a link in the description. You can still get a 10-day free trial now. I'm going to be taking that 10-day free trial out shortly, but you can still get it. But we are also about to introduce some really cool stuff as well. So all the benefits that are already there stay in place. Plus we got something else coming, because all my sort of cool new equipment, the glassware, this decanter, all these sort of beautiful glasses that I'm using, they come from a top-end producer of barware and glassware called Urban Bar. They're now sponsoring us, which is sort of cool. But part of that is that we can offer our members a 25% discount if they want to buy anything from Urban Bar. So if you're thinking of buying any barware, any glassware, anything like that, this is a fantastic place. And that 25% discount, by the way, stays in place the whole time you remember. So it's not a one-use thing. You can use it as many times as you want over the course of your membership. And let's face it, membership, to be a VIP member once you go past the free trial, is £5 a month. Right? If you buy that on its own, that's going to save you with your discount 3 months worth in a hit straight away. So there's great value there, not to mention all the whiskey competitions and everything we're giving away. And there's just hardly anyone really in the competitions, which is why you keep seeing the same winners keep popping up over and over again. So you might have been trying our free competition and thousands of people are in there and hoping that you will win. Now, if you're into the actual VIP stuff, you've got a seriously good chance of winning. I mean, seriously. The current winners, the way it's going at the moment, they could win 2 or 3 times over the course of the year, which would be incredible. What else have we got here? Gary Cummins, if you're not in it, you can't win it. Well said, Gary. That's the way it works. And Paul saying, welcome to the Geek of the Week Club, Michael. I think maybe I need to produce a Geek of the Week badge as well, so that you guys can put that on your profiles or something. I'm not sure how to do that, but we'll find out. All right, so getting to VIP, at the end of every one of these broadcasts, we do a spot prize giveaway, which is only open to you if you're a VIP, which you can become right now for free, by the way, for 10 days. So you can enter this if you want. And our prize this week is this sort of cool t-shirt, which I love. Malt whiskey in the Disney style. As I said, if you get this right and you win this, you will get this in your size, available in a variety of sizes and a variety of colours. This one's in black, it's in navy blue, grey and white, so you can have your pick if you win. And these are the questions which you have to answer on our website using the link in the description here. So there is a VIP spot prize link where you go to our website. You will find the questions I'm about to ask you there with multiple choice answers. You just click, put your name and submit your form. That is what who did last week and won. Let's remind myself. That's what Gary did last week and won, and he won a book, which is 60 Whiskey Cocktails. This week you can win that t-shirt. And here are the 4 questions based on the cocktails that we made this evening. So question 1 is this. What makes a blue flush blue? Okay, here's a blue flush. What makes a blue flush blue? Barry's saying questions aren't up yet. As Barry knows, the questions go up as soon as this broadcast ends. Thank you, Barry, for just pointing it out, because without you, nobody would mention it. But Barry fortunately does mention it every week. So as soon as as this broadcast is over, give me 10 to 15 seconds, the questions will be up. So question number 1, what makes a blue flush blue? Question number 2 is what flavour is Archer's? So I showed you this that I put into this cocktail. It's got a very particular flavour. What flavour is it? You've got multiple choice, you pick the right one. Question 3. What is the usual spirit base of a Negroni? So the first cocktail we did was a Whiskey Negroni Royale. And I said to you that actually normally a Negroni is not based on whiskey, it's based on a different spirit. what is that spirit? Again, multiple choice, head over to the website, click on the right answer. And the fourth question is, what is the name of our Mix With Me cocktail? So I told you it a couple of times. Our Mix With Me cocktail, again, multiple choice, but you should be able to recognize it. So get your 4 questions in. Just to run through them again, you've got 4 questions. Number 1, what makes the blue flush blue? 2, what flavor is Archer's? 3, what spirit is normally the base spirit of a Negroni? And 4, what was the name of our Mix With Me cocktail? That is our 4 questions. Head over to the website in a second to answer this. But in the meantime, what's this, Barry? But I like to answer as I go along. Okay, I get it. Now I understand why you're always bringing that up. Okay, that makes sense. I want to say thank you very much. I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're staying safe. And I wish you a good week. If you want to know more about the Mix With Me, please keep an eye on our Facebook page, because I do post it up there. I will try and do a messenger group if I can, and then I can let you know directly, and then we can have more of you mixing in with me. But if you have mixed the cocktail tonight, make sure you send a picture of that drink in to me by messenger. If you are a whiskey geek, again, send me your picture in so that I can update that. And I just wish you health, wealth, happiness, and don't go too stir crazy being locked down at home. Hopefully this will all start to be over soon and we can start to get back out. But in the meantime, I'll be here every Wednesday, 7 o'clock UK time. So just come back and join us. Have a good week. Thank you for joining us, and be good.